in their life or they've been affected. How many of you right now in this church know that God has brought people out of cancer and that He can do it again? How many of you know that and believe that? Same amount of hands. How awesome is that? See, that's what happens. We go through things, and I've learned to go back and depend on the things, the past victories in my life. God tells me that I'll do it once, but not only will I won't stop then, I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. It doesn't matter what you do in your life. It doesn't matter how many messes or mix-ups you have. God will do it again, time and time again.
Amen.
So you got to learn to hear His voice, and then you got to turn to be able to understand those things, and then look at the things in life that are stopping you now. I actually had a man look at me 2 weeks ago and say, I had preached a message on Almost Thou Persuadest Me to Be a Christian. And he turned around leaving this church and he looked at me and he said, you almost had me. That's what I just preached on, Junior. Come on. Really? You almost had me. It's not about me getting you. And I looked at him and I said, what stops you? And he said, because I'll never be able to be the Christian that I feel like God deserves. I never thought of it that way. So I went back and I started thinking, what kind of Christian does God deserve? Really, just the lowest of the lows, because those are the ones that are going to be able to testify to the grace and the mercy of God. So, really, those of you that are going to be flamboyant about your Christianity and all of that stuff, that's really not even, I don't know what you're measuring yourself up against. But I want you to understand that when Jesus went out and got His disciples, He didn't turn around and go out to the country club and get all of His golfing buddies. That's right. He didn't do that. He went and picked up fishermen. He went and picked up guys that stunk and didn't dress well. I'm telling you right now, on the day that He called the disciples, had He gone into the club and they had Bethlehem 90210 or whatever that was, if they'd have had that place and they could have gone in that night, when He walked in with those guys, that place would have scattered. They stink. They don't dress cool. They're not hip. So they top it all off. He goes out and he gets zealots. I told y'all what a zealot was. The Bible talks about Simon the Zealot. You know what that is? That's a crazy man. Amen. This man walked around ready to fight. He walked around ready to fight. But he's the same one that turned around and he cut the centurion's ear off when they came up. I'm telling you, Simon was not the right guy to have in your church. Somebody walks up and bumps into Jesus and he's like, come on, you want some? That's life. Jesus was not thinking much when He put these guys together. Then He goes and He gets a tax collector. How many of you want to hang out with people from the IRS? He picked the village idiots to carry the message. Some of us are well on our way. But you've got to understand that God didn't turn around and pick all of these great people. Listen, I want you to understand, He didn't call people that were qualified. He qualified the people that He called.
Amen.
It does no good for somebody to know the story when they get in the middle of it. It's better for them to come in not knowing nothing and let Him fill them up.
Amen.
Amen. So you got to understand there's things in life. You got to recognize the fears that you have in your own life. If you want God to be able to do something inside of you, you've got to be able to let Him have it. Let me tell you this. Oysters, and many people don't know this, and I really wonder how much taxpayer money goes into stuff like this. But they've actually figured out how to tell that oysters have pain when they're producing pearls. Did you know that? I kid you not. It's the truth. It's a study. But listen to this. And when you go through and you watch what happens, an oyster will get a grain of sand in their mouth. And they say that the pain is almost excruciating. That once that sand, and imagine, sand's sharp. Y'all don't like walking on that junk barefoot. Y'all can sing songs about it and listen to Zach Brown, but that junk don't work. It's no fun. And when it's 110 degrees, if you like walking on it, you're a bonehead.